This is lesson for 9-4 Pythagorean Theorem word problems. I think that it is very, very helpful to draw a picture for all the word problems. Therefore, you can identify easier what your A side, your B side, and your C side are. Again, some of the questions will come out to be nice, neat whole numbers. Other ones will become big, long, ugly decimals, and the directions will say round your answer to the nearest tenth. So just as a quick little reminder, remember that your C side is your slanted side. So that side is your C side. It's the side that's across from the right angle. The two sides that make up your right angle are your A side and your B side. It doesn't matter which one you pick for A or which one you pick for B, but your C side has to be this slanted side. When we take a look at what these things are called, remember that the C side is called the hypotenuse. And your A and your B side are called the legs. You need that information to solve this sort of problem right here. In this one, you're given the legs, 51 and 140. You have to find the hypotenuse. If we draw the picture really quickly, all right, you have your leg, and then you have the hypotenuse. The two legs are 51 and 140. And then you're looking for the hypotenuse, so that is your x. Remember that your hypotenuse is your C side. Your legs are your A and your B. So again, sometimes I think it's helpful to draw that picture. Or you could just say, my leg is A, my leg is B. I'm looking for the C side, which is the hypotenuse. In every single question in the whole entire chapter, you are doing A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And when we go to solve this, you have 51 squared plus 140 squared equals x squared. You want to take, because we're solving for the C side, you want to take this left-hand side of the equal sign, type it right into the calculator. We have this x squared all by itself already. So 51 squared plus 140 squared is 22,201, and that equals x squared. The last step in every single question is to take your square root. So we want to take the square root of 22,201. Remember, on our school calculators, to do the square root, you have to hit second x squared, which is really your square root button, 22,201, and then hit equals. When you do that, you get a final answer of 149. Remember, if you forgot how to do the squared in the beginning part, 51 squared, for example, remember that you could hit the x squared button. That'll put a 2 on your calculator for the exponent. You could do caret button 2. If you go to use a other calculator other than the school calculators, like maybe on your phone or something like that, you would have an x to the y button or a y to the x button to do squared. Also remember, for the square root, sometimes on certain calculators, you have to hit the number first and then hit the square root symbol. On other calculators still, especially on phones, you might not see the little check mark symbol. You might see SQRT. Sometimes you have to hit that square root button and then type in the number, or type in the number first and then hit the SQRT button. All right, so different calculators work different ways. Make sure that you know how your calculator works. In the second example, we are given a leg, we're given the hypotenuse, and we're given the other leg. Remember that your hypotenuse is always your C side. So again, if you wanted to draw the picture, this is what the picture would look like. You have your leg, which is 90. You have your other leg, which is what we're looking for. That's your x. And the hypotenuse, which is your slanted side of 100. So this could be your A, this could be your B, and this could be your C. Again, we're going to use A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Sub in the numbers where they belong. Instead of A squared, you have 90 squared. Instead of B squared, you have X squared. And instead of C squared, you have 100 squared. Now, this time we're going to have to do it a little bit different. It's not like the previous problem. On the previous problem, we had the x squared all by itself already. We need to get this x squared all by itself. So we need to get rid of that 90 squared. We need to turn them into normal numbers first. 90 squared is 90 times 90, which is 8,100. Bring down your plus sign, bring down your x squared, bring down your equal sign. 100 squared is 100 times 100, which is 10,000. Now what we can do is we can get that x squared all by itself by subtracting the 8,100 from both sides. 10,000 minus 8,100 is 1,900. The last step in every single question is to take the square root. So we want to take the square root of 1,900. You get this big, long, ugly decimal, 43.588,989,44, blah, blah, blah. It keeps on going on forever. We want to round to the nearest tenth. The 5 is in the 10th spot. You want to look at the number that's after it. That number after it is 5 or higher. So this 5 is going to round up to be a 6. So again, be careful. Sometimes you're given the 2 legs and you have to find the hypotenuse. Other questions, you are given the leg and the hypotenuse, you have to find the other leg. Sometimes they'll give you them as decimals. So again, your hypotenuse is always your C side. So this 94.3 is your C side. Doesn't matter what you pick for the 2 legs, but they are A and B. If we drew this picture, we would have a right triangle. Your C side is 94.3. That's your hypotenuse. Doesn't matter what you pick for your legs. These are your A and your B. We're looking for the other leg. So that's going to be your X, which is your B side. So again, we're going to use A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Sub in what you know. Instead of A squared, I have 13 squared. Instead of B squared, I have X squared. And instead of C squared, I have 94.3 squared. Again, we're looking for the B. We're looking for that B side this time. We need to try and get this X squared all by itself. Just like in the previous problem, we need to do this step right here. All right, we need to change them into normal numbers and then subtract to get that X squared all by itself. So changing the 13.1 squared into a normal number, 13.1 squared is 171.61. X squared stays X squared. 94.3 squared is 8,892.49. Now to get that X squared all by itself, I need to do minus 171.61 and minus 171.61. Therefore, those cancel out. We have X squared equals 8,720.88. Take and do the square root of both sides. So second button, X squared button, 8,720.88. Again, we get a big, long, ugly decimal, 93.385652. We want to round to the nearest tenth. The 3 is in the 10th spot. You want to look at the number that's after it. That's 5 or higher. So this 3 goes up to be a 4, and we get an answer of 93.4. So that's one type of question that you're going to have. Now, this is a very, very famous question. They have this all the time on the state test, on the Regents exam, things like that. A 26-foot ladder is leaning up against the wall. The distance from the base of the wall to the base of the ladder is 24 feet. What is the height of the wall? So here's where it really helps to draw a picture. Now, I am not an artist, but here is my beautiful picture, all right? This is the wall. And it says that you have a ladder leaning up against the wall. So here's my ladder leaning up against the wall. Sometimes they have a ladder leaning up against a house or a ladder leaning up against a tree or different things like that. Down here is our grass, all right? Down here is our grass. So anyway, let's fill in what we know. It says a 26-foot ladder. If it says a 26-foot ladder, that means the ladder is 26 feet long, is leaning up against the wall. The distance from the base of the wall to the base of the ladder. Base, the word base means bottom. So the bottom of the wall to the bottom of the ladder. Where are they talking about? They're talking about this distance right here. From the bottom of the wall to the bottom of the ladder. The base of the wall to the base of the ladder is 24 feet. What is the height of the wall? So the height of the wall is what we're looking for. So hopefully you see the right triangle right here. And I'm going to put this in yellow right here. Here's your right triangle, right? So we have an X as one of the sides. We have 24 as one of the sides, and then we have 26 as one of the sides. Really, that triangle looks like this, right? Really, that triangle looks like this, where we have X, and we have 24, and we have 26. So again, your slanted side is always your C side. So 26 is going to be your C. It doesn't matter which one you pick for A or which one you pick for B. But C has to be that 26 side. So again, we're going to use the formula A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Instead of A squared, I have X squared. Instead of B squared, I have 24 squared. And instead of C squared, I have 26 squared. Again, we're solving for the A or the B side. So I want to try and get this X squared all by itself. First thing that I need to do is change that 24 squared into a normal number. So just bring down your X squared and your plus sign. 24 squared is 576. 26 squared is 676. To get this X squared all by itself, I need to do minus 576 and minus 576. Therefore, those cancel out. I have X squared equals 100. The last step in every single question is to take the square root. So second button, X squared button, 100, hit equals, and you get a final answer of 10. So that's a very famous question again. Your ladder leaning up against the wall is your C side because that was slanted. Here's another famous one, a rectangle. Well, when it says a rectangle, what picture do you think you want to draw? You want to draw a rectangle. So here's our rectangle. A rectangle measures 52 by 165. So obviously 165 is your longer side and 52 is your shorter side. What is the measure of the diagonal? Now the diagonal is, think about tic-tac-toe for a second. If we think about tic-tac-toe, what does the word diagonal mean? A diagonal tic-tac-toe goes from corner to corner. It might go like that, or it might go the opposite way and go like this. A diagonal tic-tac-toe goes from corner to corner. The diagonal in a shape like this goes corner to corner. Here is our diagonal. All right, this is the diagonal. The diagonal goes corner to corner. That's what you're looking for. So that's going to be your X. Now, hopefully you can see the right triangle here. I'll put it in yellow again. Here's your right triangle. So we have one side that's 52, one side that's 165, and then you have your diagonal, which is what you're looking for. That is going to be your A side, your B side, and the diagonal is always the C side because that's going to be the slanted side. So again, we're going to use A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Instead of A squared, I have 52 squared. Instead of B squared, I have 165 squared. And instead of C squared, I have X squared. So this one is a little bit different. You have your X squared all by itself. We're looking for the C side. So you're just going to type this half right into the calculator. 52 squared plus 165 squared gives you 29,929 equals X squared. The last step in every question is to take the square root. So the square root of that is 173. So the length of the diagonal was 173. This is one that will be on your test. It is one that will be on your final exam at the end of the year. 2 cars leave a house in Richmond, Virginia. Notice that Richmond, Virginia is right here in the middle, right? One of the cars travels 8 miles north and then 6 miles east. What they're talking about right here, they're going 8 miles north, right? So we have 8 right here, and then it's going 6 miles east. We have 6 right here. The second car travels 12 miles south. So 12 miles south, all right, here's the 12, and then 9 miles west, 9 miles west right here. How far apart are the 2 cars? Well, you're looking for this total distance. You ended up with 1 car in this bottom left-hand corner, 1 car in this bottom right-hand corner. Hopefully you can see that there are 2 triangles here. You have this green triangle here at the top, and then you have this pink triangle down here at the bottom. So you have to find, all right, you have to find the hypotenuse here. We have 6, 8, and x. And then you have to find the hypotenuse here. You have 12, 9, and x. All right, so you're looking for the 2 hypotenuses. Then you have to answer the question, how far apart are the 2 cars? You'd have to add your 2 answers together. So there's really 2 separate calculations that you need to do here. Because when it asks how far apart are the 2 cars, you're looking for the total distance of the dotted line. So you have to add them together, right? You have to add them together. So we have 2 separate questions here. For the green triangle at the top, you have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So you have 6 squared plus 8 squared equals x squared. So we want to solve that. 6 squared plus 8 squared is 100. That equals x squared. The last step in every question, square root, and you get an answer of 10. So this distance right here is 10. Now we got to look at the other triangle. All right, when we take a look at the other triangle, we have 9 and 12 and x. So 9 squared plus 12 squared equals x squared. So again, take this side, type it right into the calculator. You get 225 equals x squared. The last step in every question is to take the square root. So square root, you get 15. So this distance right here is 15. Well, if this distance is 15 and this distance is 10, in order to find that total distance, we have to add those 2 numbers together to be 25. You will have a question on your final exam in June that looks exactly like this, just different numbers, all right? So find the length of one side, find the length of the other, add the 2 together. The last thing that I want to talk to you about is question number 13 on your homework. All right, on your homework, there's a question that says a string of flags is attached to a 4.8 meter pole. The string meets the ground 5. Excuse me. The string meets the ground 5.6 meters from the base of the pole. This is what your picture looks like for number 13. You have your pole right here, all right, that's 4.8. The base of the pole to the base of the string is 5.6. You're looking how long the string is, all right? So if you ever went to drove by like a car dealership or something, that string of flags, that's what they're talking about right here. So you have your right triangle right here. This could be your A side, this could be your B side, and your string is your C side.